everyone, and welcome to the Red Brick House. So today's video, I'm bringing you another Christmas project. I'm going to be making a slow stitch stocking for our cats. Now, instead of making each cat a different stocking, I'm just going to make an oversized stocking for all of them together, because we usually buy them a few little things, treats and a few little things around Christmas time. And so I wanted to use my leftover fabrics that I've been working with, you know, all the month of December. If you've seen my videos, you know my pink color scheme that I'm doing for Christmas this year. I'm going to be using those fabrics, and I'm going to be slow stitching and kind of creating my own piece of fabric to make into this stocking. So I hope it makes for an interesting video and gives you some ideas of things you can make for Christmas. So with that said, join me at my table and we'll get started. Okay, so the prep work for this stocking, all I did is that I traced around a stocking that we already owned. I traced around it, gave myself a seam allowance, and cut that out. And I'm going to use that as my guide to cut out the rest of my fabric. This top piece here is going to be my front. And then this piece here will be my back. Now these fabrics, it doesn't matter which way I put them because they're the same on both sides. But this is going to be my lining here. So what I did is I just kind of put right sides together. And I know that's kind of sideways. For you, it'll be kind of upside down. But it is going to be a lining. And like I said, I'm using leftovers. So nobody's really going to see it. I just wanted something, you know, I wanted a finished touch on the inside. So I'm going to put all those here. I have layered all those up here. So I'm going to cut them all out at the same time. And then I'm also going to cut out 2 pieces of batting to go in between here. So this will kind of feel quilted and kind of feel puffy. Okay, so now I have everything cut out and I have separated my fabric. So I just have this front piece here, and this is going to be my foundation fabric. And so what I want to do is I just want to lay different scraps of fabric. I have all of my scraps left over from my log cabin and the ornaments. I have some felt here, some leftover felt pieces. I have some of this trim here that I got at an estate sale. And then I also have big pieces of fabric. And I might just cut out a motif off of this fabric, or I might just use a big swatch of the fabric. I'm not sure yet how that's going to go. I'm going to kind of let that develop as it goes, but I have all these fabrics as well. So now comes the really fun part of designing. I'm just going to start laying fabrics on here. Okay, I think I have all my designing done. I really am happy with how it looks and the layout. And now I'm going to try to baste all of this stuff together. I'm going to just baste it down so that nothing will fall off while I'm doing my decorative stitching. So this has been so much fun. I haven't done a project like this in a while, and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm gonna get to work basting this down, and then comes the really fun part of the decorative stitching. to baste here, all I'm doing is using one strand of embroidery floss, and I'm going to just basically walk my needle around on this stocking. I'm going to make sure that I catch every little piece of fabric and that I'm securing it to the foundation, and also making sure that I'm attaching it to the fabric that's close by it. This is just a way to help keep all those fabrics in place while you're trying to do any kind of decorative stitching, or even just a plain running stitch. Any kind of stitching you're going to do, this step is very helpful. And I'll probably just pull these threads out when I'm done, because they're going to be kind of all over the place, and I'm not really concerned about how they look. So I wanted to share my favorite tea with you guys. This is a German tea. It's called Wintertime. I can't pronounce the brand name. I got it at a German bakery here in local to us. And I absolutely love it because I can drink it without adding sugar or honey to it, and it's fantastic. It has just a little sweet touch, but not a lot. And so I just wanted to share that with you because I absolutely love it. Okay, I have basted everything together except for my little paw print right here. But I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm thinking about just going around this whole entire edge here. Now there is a seam allowance here. I am going to sew these pieces together with my sewing machine at the end, but just to kind of keep these edges in place, I'm really tempted to just kind of do that first and go around the edge of the whole thing. And then I'm going to start with some decorative stitching. I think I might start here with this applique, or I might start with the paw print, because my paw print is still pinned on right here. So I may start with this paw print after I do the edging. I think that's what I'm going to do, and then I may come across here so I can get this really secured, because it keeps kind of trying to, even though it's basted, it still keeps trying to come up like that. So I'm just going to work on those areas first, maybe this trim up here, and just get all those things really secure. I mean, right now they're just tacked on, but I want them really secure so that while I'm working on the rest of the stocking, they're not like, you know, moving around and I'm worried about them coming undone or something. So that's probably how I'm going to start out. So with my little paw print, I think I'm going to use like I'm not sure what I'm going to use yet, actually. I think I'm going to match the stitching to the paw print. I don't necessarily want my paw print to be like, to stand out like any like super decorative stitching on that. I think I'm just going to go around it with a running stitch and just sew it on. So after I finished with my little paw print, I took a break to go outside and refill my bird feeders. It was a very cold and rainy day. It wasn't raining too terribly hard, but they needed some extra food out there. And so I just wanted to share these cute little birds with you. And then I came inside, and I was so thankful to have a warm and cozy house to work on my stitching a little bit more and listen to some beautiful Christmas music while I did this. Okay, I wanted to catch you up on a little bit of progress that I've made. I've just kind of been skipping around, and right here I made some seed stitch with some cross stitches there on the side. And then I have stitched across here just a straight running stitch. I want to do a blanket stitch on the top of this, but this fabric under here kept coming up on top of this, and I really wanted this to be on top of this fabric. So I just stitched all that down so that would stop happening as I moved it around. And then I did some seed stitch all through here. So I'll bring it in close so you can see. My seed stitch are a very light pink, so I'm not sure how well it's showing up on camera. And then I did some stitching across this trim here. And I did a running stitch, but I don't know what this is called. I can't remember what the name of it is, but I did a running stitch across here, and then I came back and I filled in the gaps with a different color. So it just looks like a patterned, just a patterned like gold pink stitches all the way across. And I really like how it looks. And so, oh, I also did a little like cross hatch right here on this acorn. And I was starting to work on this section here. And I think what I want to do is just embellish some of these things. I don't want to fill in or embroider the whole thing, but I started a stem stitch right here. And I think I will do the stem work, just follow their pattern that's already there. I think I'm going to do that just on 2 of these leaves, but not all of them. Okay, it's been about a week. It took me about a week to finish it, and I finished all the stitching on this little stocking. Let's see if I can get it all. I'll see if I can get it all in the camera here, maybe. It's really cute. I'm really happy with it. I'll show close-ups here at the end. I'm going to do like a big reveal, and I'll give you a total top-down look at it. But now I'm going to put the stocking together, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. So here I have my finished embroidered, that's hard to say. I have my stitching stocking here all done. It's very messy on the back. I'm going to layer it with some batting here, and then I have my inside of my stocking here. Now I'm going to put this together a little bit different. You know, there's always multiple ways to do things, and you could make a lining and sew that inside so you would have nice finished edges on the inside, but I'm not going to do that. This is a pet stocking after all, and I am just going to do it in this way. So I'm going to layer this up like a little quilt sandwich here. Just like that. And I'm going to stitch around. So you can see here how I have made kind of a border little running stitch around this stocking, and I really did that to keep all these little pieces like right through here, keep those all together while I was trying to do my decorative stitching, and it really helped out a lot to do that. But I'm also going to use it as a guide, and when I sew this little quilt sandwich together, I'm going to sew really pretty close to that line. I'm going to do 1/4 of an inch seam allowance right there. And then when I sew the front and the back together, I'm going to do 1/2 inch seam allowance. And that way, when I turn the stocking right side out, that 1/4 inch seam allowance won't be shown. You won't see it. And so that's my plan. So now I'm going to go ahead and put this back together so that I can just have it ready to go when I get my sewing machine out here. So this pink here is going to be the back side of my stocking. And then this, of course, is the batting. I'm just using a cotton batting here. And I can trim these edges and make them look a little nicer once I'm all finished with sewing it. Okay, and now this will be the inside of the stocking. Which then will match this. So let's put it all together. So that's how it will be in the end. And then you can open it up, and this will be the inside of the stocking. And yeah, I know it's gonna face that one way. It's kind of weird, but I didn't have enough fabric to cut it the other direction, but it's just a lining, so it's okay. All right, so let's get started stitching this up. I'm going to sew it with my sewing machine. So let me get that ready, and then we'll start sewing this together. Okay, I have stitched all of this together on the front and the back, and now what I want to do is I want to hem this down. Now I'm just realizing this now, that I did not make enough fabric here to flip it over twice, and I don't know that that thick of that thickness would go through my sewing machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pinking shears here, and I'm going to trim off. I'm not going to go past this line that I made here. Let me bring it in. So I'm not going to go past this line, but I'm just going to trim off all of this excess up here, and then I'm just going to fold it over and stitch it down. And hopefully, using the pinking shears, hopefully it won't ravel too much, or it won't become a problem, because I don't really want threads hanging out when you're pulling things in and out of the stocking. But because this is a pet stocking, honestly, like, I can just turn everything upside down and just dump it out for them. It's not like a kid is going to be, being rough with it or anything like that. So I'm just gonna stay close to that line, and there we go. I also gave myself a little bit of room, so I didn't start stitching here until I was a little bit past all that, kind of leftover fabric there, or uneven fabric. Okay, so now I'm just gonna take that and I'm gonna fold it over so that it lands right here, because that's what I had planned. I wanted this ruffle to be the top. So I'm gonna need some pins. So I'm gonna take these pins out because I don't need those anymore. I love the thickness. I love how it feels. Let me know if you've ever made your own stocking. I have never made my own stocking at all before. I haven't even knitted a stocking before. So let me know. Let me know if you've made stockings before and how you've made them. If you've quilted them like this and made them puffy, or did you knit them, or did you just make them not lined? Like, how did you do it? Because I'm always interested in how other people do things. Now, I'm not going to go all the way through with these pins because it's quite bulky, and I'm hoping I can get this through my sewing machine. If not, I'm going to be hand stitching it, it looks like. So we'll see, because it's pretty thick, and I don't have a what is that, a walking foot or a quilting foot on my sewing machine at the moment. I'm not even sure I have one. I think my machine came with one. I've never used it, but I'm going to have to start learning these things about my sewing machine because I just kind of get in a rut where I only do things one way. And I'm sure my sewing machine is capable of doing more things. So, okay, so now I'm just going to stitch that down. I'm going to do the same thing to the other stocking as well. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do that first so I can sew them both down together. So I'm giving a thumbs up here because I actually folded it down the wrong direction and had to undo it and redo it again. So here I'm just putting them together to make sure that the top is going to line up with the toe of the stocking, and just to make sure that they are, you know, all in alignment with each other before I started stitching it together. So now I'm just going to put right sides together and I'm going to stitch it all the way around. Now I'm going to trim up the edges with some pinking shears just to take off any bulk that might be there inside the stocking, especially around the heel and the toe of the stocking. And then I'm just kind of clipping the corners ever so gently. I didn't leave a lot of fabric on there to cut very much, but if you did have some fabric there, you would want to clip those curves so it will look nicer when you unfold it. Okay, now for the big moment, I'm gonna just reach in there and turn it right side out. And let's see how that looks. I can already see that I missed a little bit of the stitching that I wanted to kind of cover up right there. I wanted to kind of conceal those big stitches, but I guess I could, if I wanted to, if it really bothered me, I could take them out because they're not needed anymore. So if it was that big a deal, I guess I could do that. So I'm just fixing the toe here to make it look really nice. Probably look a little bit better if I took an iron to it here. And there we go. Now I'm going to make a loop for my stocking to hang it with. So I just took an extra strip of fabric and I'm going to finger crease the edges in on each other. And then I'm just going to mash that down with my fingers and sew that together. This is going to be super easy little loop here, if I get my strings right. So that's what it looks like. Now I'm just going to fold it over and I'm going to stitch those ends together. Super simple. And that will give you a nice little loop. I always turn the sound off on the sewing part because those sewing machines can be loud when you hear them in videos, and so I always try to turn that off so it's not too noisy. And there we go. I probably should have matched the thread to the fabric, but I didn't do that. Now here I'm trying to place it on to the stocking. It was a little bit tricky because I had clipped that with the pinking shears. I'm sorry, it's hard to see what I'm doing here. I'm just going to hold it with my fingers, although it probably would have been better if I had pinned it down, because it wants to come out of place, especially when I'm trying to get it under that presser foot, because it's pretty thick under there. So I'm just trying to keep that seam underneath there pushed down flat enough that I can sew over it. And here we go. I sewed it on. I'm going to go forward, and then I'm going to go backward, and then I'm going to do it again. So I'm basically going to sew it 2 times so that it's really strong on there. I don't plan on putting anything heavy, but you never know. So here we have it. Okay, it's all finished. I think it turned out really, really well. I'll show you the inside, how it looks here. I need to trim off a few threads, but not too bad. I mean, you know, this isn't the prettiest here. It could have been done better. I could have made a lining, but I didn't want to do that with the batting and everything in there. So this is how I made it. And like I said, it's just a stocking. It's not, you know, and it's for pets. So, but I think it turned out pretty well. I did miss like some stitches right here. You can kind of see, you know, that little border strip I hand sewed in there. You can kind of see it through there. But I mean, who's going to be looking at that really and truly? And let's look at the back. So I think the back turned out well too. I love how puffy it is. I think this is my favorite part of all. Sometimes I just followed the lines that were already in the fabric, and then other times I just stitched on top. Here I didn't do anything. And I had some flowers over here that kind of went to the edge, and I kind of like how they wrap around. So there's the end. And this one I just outlined the little print here. So, I mean, I really just played around with really simple stitches, and it was so much fun to make. So I'm so happy to have this all completed. This wraps up my Christmas crafts. This is my very last craft for the year of 2024. So that's exciting and bittersweet at the same time, because we still have a few more weeks until the Christmas holiday. But I will survive without crafts. I'm going to be very busy, I'm sure, in the next couple of weeks. And so I hope you've enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you want to see more crafting content. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.